Chapter 1. A different view of the universe to show everything is connected. The beginning of the universe is a contested subject. However, scientists and researchers all agree that the universe began 13 billion years ago, which was at the time of the Big Bang. Of course, the universe is vast, and we still don't know its entire dimensions. However, it is thought to have a diameter of 10 billion light years. Every so often, researchers and scientists find a new galaxy, adding to the overall size of the universe. But what is the universe? It is generally used as a term used to describe all existing space and matter combined as one single whole. However, considering that we don't know its full dimensions, there may be more surprises to come in the future. If the universe is thought to be the sum of everything, Ken Wilber sees things differently. The reason? Ken Wilber doesn't believe in wholes. He's a firm believer that everything is connected and nothing is a single whole standing alone. Instead, everything is part of something else. For instance, take the atom and the molecule. You would assume them to be two single entities, yet when you delve in a little deeper, you'll see that one atom connects with another and begins to form a molecule. That's a firm connection between the two. One cannot exist without the other. Nothing is a single whole. Everything is part of something else, creating a never-ending cycle of evolution. Ken Wilber believes that our reality is made up of a series of what he calls holons. A holon is something that seems independent as its own entity, but it's actually part of another so-called whole. Everything is connected even when you can't see it. Throughout A Brief History of Everything, Ken Wilber talks about the holon theory and how it often falls short in some areas of discussion. For instance, is the universe an actual whole, or is it a holon with something much bigger yet to be discovered? Within this summary, you'll find many other questions to tease your mind and make you amazed at the evolution our world achieves every single day. Chapter 2. Gender roles still exist despite good progress towards equality. The subject of gender is a complex one. Even in this forward-thinking age, there are still gender roles in place. The man is meant to be the powerful one, the one in charge. The woman is meant to be the motherly, sensitive one. However, we see more and more men embracing their sensitive sides and more women taking charge of businesses. Within that, we have those who do not identify with a gender. A tremendous amount of progress has been made here, but equality still evades us. Ken Wilber talks about where gender roles came from and how they're still a pertinent part of today's society. So-called gender wars began with women who refused to be defined by the stereotypical female label. This movement seeks out balance and has been going on for years. The traditional roles of men and women have changed over the years. However, true balance is yet to be achieved. When you look back throughout history to the earliest settlements, you'll see that both men and women played a part. Men were often seen as the hunters, going out to find food and cultivate the land. Women cooked the food and provided sustenance for the family. At this point, more focus was placed on the female role. However, as large-scale agriculture came to fruition, the male role took precedence. This power shift formed the basis of the patriarchy that women battle today. With a greater voice seeking out equality, there is still work to be done. However, the hope is that balance will be truly restored soon. Did you know? The feminist movement began as far back as 1848 at the Seneca Falls Convention. Chapter 3. Our religion of choice affects how we see the universe. Across the world, people subscribe to various religions. Ken Wilber argues that your choice of religion affects how you see the universe as a whole and the image you have of God. Of course, every religion has its own teachings, some similar and others very different. Yet, faith can also be entirely personal to that individual. Ken Wilber states that the growth of our civilization has a considerable amount to do with belief systems. Our perception of divinity and religion is dependent on the evolution of civilization. Ken Wilber believes that humans fit into two thought schools: ascending, descending. A person who belongs to the ascending group believes in heaven and hell, a divine that is totally separate from our physical plane. There is belief in one supreme being, i.e., God. The ascending strive to achieve a purpose in life, something which is beyond their inner reaches. In comparison, the descending school of thought believes in the physical and celebrates the human body, senses, and sexuality. Both the ascending and descending view each other as opposites. One is seen as evil and the other right. Evolution isn't straightforward, but over the course of our existence, evolution has a broad focus, a broad direction, which is particularly apparent with increasing differentiation. An atom to an amoeba to an ape. Ken Wilber. Everyone can choose to believe whatever they want to believe, but Ken Wilber argues that there is a real need to come together and create a union despite the differences between the two schools of thought. As this is difficult, perhaps the better option is to achieve non-duality. Non-duality means that although people have their own beliefs, they acknowledge the opposite and embrace it as an opposing ideal. Non-duality will create harmony throughout the human race and bring everyone together in peace. Chapter 4. Multiculturalism is of benefit to the world. A wealth of different cultures can come together to benefit the entire world. Multiculturalism is helpful in every sphere of life, from philosophy to politics, sociology to communication. Ken Wilber highlights that embracing cultures and coming together while still celebrating our rich uniqueness can ultimately unify the world. Over time, this will stamp out many unnecessary conflicts. Multiculturalism means two or more different cultures living together in harmony. Ken Wilber talked earlier about non-duality in religion, i.e., embracing your own beliefs but fully accepting those of others. The same way of thinking can be used with multiculturalism. It's possible to fully embrace your own culture and understand just how necessary other cultures are. Several cultures can live side by side without the need for barriers. No culture in the world is worth more than another. They are all equal, yet some are seen as lacking. It's essential to recognize the rich tapestry of every culture and how they're all relevant and equal in worth. This view is essential for the continued evolution of our planet and our society. By creating barriers between cultures, we're living in fear. We don't truly understand other cultures, so we see them as something to be cautious of. The truth is that there is nothing to be cautious of and plenty to learn from. Cultures are developed throughout centuries and passed down through generations. We assume that our way is the right way, but how can we be sure? However, Ken Wilber points out that humans are very good at discriminating and assuming one thing is better. All of this comes down to cultural ignorance. If everyone chose a path of togetherness, the world would see less conflict, less crime, less racism, and less general discrimination. Chapter 5. When we look after nature, nature looks after us. Climate change is a vast subject. For many years, humans have been abusing the planet we live on, destroying landscapes and wildlife. If we're going to try and live in harmony with different religions and cultures, we should also do our best to live in harmony with Mother Nature. We often become preoccupied with advancing technology and trying to get on with those around us, but we forget to think about the environment. Ken Wilber wants to push home the message that we need to do our best to look after the planet and help it heal from the damage done so far. We spend so much time attempting to fix human relations, but have no consideration for the earth we inhabit. Environmentalism is an idea that Ken Wilber seeks to introduce to readers. It is increasingly important to care for the health of the earth in general. It is also true that our own physical health depends heavily upon the environment. By loading the air with toxins, we're also allowing those same toxins to clog up our lungs, wreak havoc on our bodies, and cause enormous damage to wildlife, flora, fauna, and carefully balanced ecological systems. So to correct all of this, we need to focus on environmentalism. With environmentalism, we ensure that the world we live in is in perfect health. Environmentalism advocates the preservation, restoration, and improvement of the natural environment. It also supports critical Earth system elements or processes, such as the climate. If we want to better ourselves and live in a much improved society, we need to focus on the planet we live on, too. To turn back the clock on the damage already done will take years, but every small step in the right direction brings benefits. Start recycling, look to lower your carbon emissions, and become more environmentally friendly in every element of your life. If we do all these things, the benefits will be far-reaching. It is beyond nature mysticism, beyond deity mysticism, and beyond formless mysticism. It is the reality or the suchness of each, and thus integrates each in its embrace. Ken Wilber, Chapter 6. The online world has its benefits, but it also divides. For humans to live in a happier and more unified life, we need to all have an accepting view when it comes to our differences. There will always be different opinions, different political views, different religions, and different cultures. Still, when we unify to accept and allow diversity to shine, the world becomes better for it. The Internet has brought us many benefits, but it has also given an outlet for hate, division, and negativity. When misused, the Internet divides. That's quite an ironic thought when you consider that the online realm is supposed to make the world a smaller place and bring people together. The Internet is an invisible force that can unify the world and educate on different cultures and religions. When used correctly, the Internet has enormous potential for unification. It allows us to connect with more people than we can ever meet in a lifetime, some of whom live thousands of miles away. The ability to communicate with others helps us form real emotional bonds, while also giving people the opportunity to work from home and have a better home and work-life balance. Of course, the Internet has potential for learning, too. However, even as the Internet opens the door for us to encounter more cultures and experiences, we have mainly used it as a tool for discrimination and hate. The access to a plethora of opinions and viewpoints has only made ours hardened and unchanging. That simply forces the view that any concept that embraces only one side of the spectrum cannot represent the wholesome idea of a better world. The Internet is a powerful force for good when used in the right way. Cyberbullying and other discriminatory tactics have been made easier to indulge in. Conclusion: evolution is a subject that countless people debate and often disagree on. Your religious views, stance on multiculturalism, and how you view those around you affect how you see the world you live in and the more expansive universe. Ken Wilber speaks at length about the fact that everything is connected. No whole stands alone, and everything links in to the next thing, like an invisible string pulling everything together in synchronicity. You can look at the world around you and see separate entities doing their own thing, but you see that everything weaves together when you examine closer. How you teach your child to see the world affects what they do when they get older. What you believe affects how you interact with those around you. How you treat the environment affects its ability to provide a sustainable living environment for generations to come. Perhaps we all need to be a lot more careful with our decisions and actions to ensure that the continued evolution of the human race is a positive development and not a wholly negative one. For too many years, divisions have appeared due to religious choice, gender, sexuality, race, and cultural views. It's far better to adopt Ken Wilber's theory that we're all connected. Then you don't see people around you as different from you. You see them as valid and worthy in their own right. Surely, that's a better way to live. It's easy to overcomplicate everything, especially in a complicated world. However, when you break life down into the basics, you see that it really comes down to how we treat one another, how we treat the planet we call home, and how we interact and build on the bonds we already have. Society will continue to evolve negatively if we don't understand the need for positive change and take action now. Try this. Do you recycle your plastic and household waste? Start taking steps to protect the environment by becoming a recycling household. Help educate your children on the positive sides of the Internet by adding child filters to your Internet connection. This stops them from being able to access harmful content. Question whether you're closed-minded to new cultural ideas or whether you're wholly accepting. Learn to see differences as an opportunity to learn rather than something to be feared.